a little while since we heard anything about Canadian environmentalist and CBC star David Suzuki, but he's back and he accidentally let it slide that his lifestyle is way more carbon intensive than he lets on. Now, normally when we do hear from David Suzuki, he's busy scolding the rest of us normal people about our wasteful lifestyles while he's jet-setting across the globe and living in 4 different luxury homes. We know David Suzuki has a house in the expensive Kitsilano neighborhood of Vancouver, valued at about $8.2 million. We also know that David Suzuki owns another house up the road in the same Kitsilano neighborhood, valued at a little over $1 million. We also know Suzuki has a waterfront house on Quadra Island, BC, valued at $1.1 million. And hilariously, Suzuki owns a property on Nelson Island, BC that he co-owns with an oil company, Kootenay Oil Distributors. And this week, Suzuki accidentally let it slip out in an interview with The Guardian that he owns a house in Port Douglas, Australia. So, of course, we started researching that house too. Now, I don't know the value of the Australian home yet, but Suzuki did mention in his autobiography that it's allegedly a small apartment in Port Douglas that he bought because he fell madly in love with the Barrier Reef. And I know that house is about a block from the beach, so it probably has a pretty sweet view like this one here. So that's 4 houses in BC and a 5th house in Australia. And those are just the properties that we know about. For the purposes of my argument, though, I don't think it matters the value of that home in Australia, because it doesn't matter how big your house is if you have to fly halfway around the world to get to it. It is literally a circumnavigation of the globe to get to that Australian house and back again. The closest international airport to Port Douglas, Australia is in Cairns, about an hour's drive away. So to visit his Australian home, Suzuki, the environmentalist, has to fly from Vancouver to Cairns, about 11,500 kilometers, and then he has to drive another hour after that to get to his beachfront property. And that's just one way. That's a lot of carbon emissions in Mr. David Suzuki's commute. Actually, I did the math for fun. I ran it through a carbon footprint calculator, and it's nearly 5 metric tons of CO2 to fly to David Suzuki's Australian house and back. David Suzuki made a living. Actually, he got rich, telling us the world was going to end because of global warming and our wasteful carbon emissions. I might take Suzuki more seriously when he starts living like the threat is real. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn-Reid. I've got some exciting news for you. In October, we are debuting exciting brand new contributors and new full-length shows, including my own. Subscribe today to take advantage of our early bird pricing for just $69.99 for the entire year. You'll get access to all of our free videos and our expanded premium content.